Are you going to stand there gawking, or are you going to help me unload these crates? The silver-haired alien snapped, lifting one effortlessly from the supply skiff and tossing it beside the tent with a grunt. Her name was Saraxa, and she was a mercenary born under twin moons, forged in fire and war, and infamous for leading ambushes that made grown generals cry. Still, right now, standing under the suns of planet Volcanus, she was battling something worse than a battalion. A flirty, shirtless human with a dumb smile. Damon Hawk wiped sweat from his brow, smirked, and hoisted a crate himself. Didn't want to interrupt the poetry in motion. I've never seen someone throw a 100-pound ammo box like it was a pillow. Saraxa rolled her silver eyes. That mouth of yours is going to get you killed. Damon shrugged. Could be worse. I've heard you're kind mates by wrestling. And we don't like weaklings, she fired back, folding her arms over her chest. Leather and metal shifting around her toned, tangerine-hued skin. The Alliance war camp buzzed with tension. Hostilities between the Terran vanguard and the Cerelian collectives had drawn mercenaries from every system. The tented outpost near the front lines was supposed to be temporary, but now it bristled with sandbag walls, turret drones, and reinforced bunkers. Saraxa had taken a contract with the humans for credits. Not companionship yet, somehow she'd been paired with Damon. He was a demolitions expert, half a poet, and a full-time pain in her tail. They were expected to share quarters, plan assaults, and unfortunately now survive a stormfront that had grounded all shuttles and delayed all missions for at least 72 hours. Which meant, "You're in my tent again," she growled as Damon walked in behind her that night. Hair tousled, arms bare, carrying rations and a smug grin. "And you're in my heart," he said without missing a beat. She looked like she might throw a blade at him. Instead, she sighed. "Fine, just stay on your side of the cot. And don't peek while I change. I'll know if you do, please." "I'm a gentleman," Damon said, dramatically turning round and facing the tent flap dot behind him. Saraxa hesitated. For a woman who disarmed nuclear mines while under sniper fire, disremoving her battle-worn armor near a human made her palms sweat. Her skin shimmered with nervous bioluminescence as she slipped off the shoulder straps. She peeked at him. He hadn't turned, but she could feel the heat rising to her cheeks. No man had ever made her blush. Not even the warlords of Viren-8. She cleared her throat and muttered, "No peeking, human." "I wouldn't dream of it," he replied softly, and something about his voice made her feel like maybe she wanted him to peek, but she didn't say that. Instead, she said, "I'll gut you if you cross the line." He chuckled. Wouldn't be the worst way to go. The storm raged outside. Inside, it was too quiet. Close, warm, intimate. Damon sat on the floor, legs crossed, humming some old Terran melody. Saraxa, now dressed in a loose combat tunic, watched him from the cot. For the first time in years, her shoulders weren't tensed. She wasn't preparing for betrayal. "You humans are strange," she whispered. "Good strange or bad strange?" "Both," he looked over. "You fought in how many wars?" 17. "This is my last." "Why?" She didn't answer right away. Then, "Because I'm tired of watching good people die. And because I saw a child smile once, on a planet we'd just liberated. It made me wonder if maybe fighting wasn't the only way to win." Damon nodded slowly. "You ever think about what comes after? I don't have the luxury." "Well," he said, standing and moving to the cot, "if you ever need a second-in-command to help raise goats on a quiet planet." She raised an eyebrow. You, me. And I don't even like goats. She chuckled. You're insane. Little bit. They sat there in silence for a while, their shoulders brushing, breath sinking. Outside, the storm howled. Inside, something warmer had begun. The next morning, the camp crackled with tension. Command drones zipped through the air, delivering orders. The storm had broken just before dawn, revealing a war-torn sky smeared with ash. The Cerelian collectives had begun mobilizing in the northern ravines closer than they'd ever dared. Serexa emerged from the tent first, armor buckled tight, blades sheathed at her hips, and expression unreadable. Damon followed, yawning, holding a coffee ration and rubbing sleep from his eyes. He wasn't wearing a shirt again. Of course he wasn't. You like waking up with me nearby? He teased. I like that I haven't stabbed you in your sleep yet. She shot back. They stood in line with a dozen others at the war briefing. Commander Braskin, a scarred Terran veteran, tapped the hologram in front of him. Recon teams spotted Cerelian power cores being deployed here. He pointed at a jagged valley on the map. They're building a planetary disruptor. If it activates, we lose this hemisphere. The silence that followed was heavy. We're sending in 2 pairs, 1 demolition, 1 decoy. In and out. Hit the core. Trigger the chain reaction, then evac. Braskin's eyes flicked to Serexa and Damon. Mercenary and Hawkure, Team 1. Lucky us, Damon muttered. You'll deploy at nightfall. And if you get caught, there will be no retrieval. Understood, Serexa didn't flinch. Damon nodded, a little slower. That evening, as the sun bled behind jagged cliffs and the sky turned bruise purple, Serexa checked her gear silently. Damon watched her from the edge of the tent. You're different when the fighting starts. He said, I was born into battle. It's all I know. He took a step closer. That's not all you are, Serexa. She froze. Then, slowly, she turned toward him. You don't know me, human. I know enough to care. Isn't that dangerous? 2. Her eyes flicked to his lips. For both of us. The moment lingered too long too close. Before she looked away. We move in 30 minutes. Get focused. They rappelled down into the valley beneath nightfall, cloaked in shadows. Damon's pulse hammered as he followed her lead, his boots quiet on the rocks. Serexa moved like liquid fire, graceful and precise. He'd never seen anyone so alive. The power core pulsed ahead huge, humming, alien. It was flanked by 2 Cerelian sentries in exosuits. Damon swallowed. I'll draw them, Serexa whispered. You plant the charges and get out. I'm not back in 2 minutes. I'm not leaving you, she narrowed her eyes. This isn't the time for noble idiocy. Too bad. It's my best trait. She looked like she might argue, but then her lips twitched. You're impossible. Can't help it. Then she was gonna blur of orange and silver, slicing the dark. Damon slid forward, reached the core's base, and began setting the explosives. 10 seconds in, blaster fire cracked nearby, shouts, a scream, his heart seized. Serexa, he turned just in time to see her slam into a sentry, blade flashing. But the other was raising its weapon toward her exposed back. No, Damon roared, diving from cover and tackling the armored brute. They rolled, fists flying. Damon wasn't the better fighter, but rage made him brutal. He jammed a charge straight into the enemy's faceplate, pressed the detonator, and ducked. The explosion lit the night. Silence followed. Then Serex's voice, Hawk. I'm alive, he croaked. limping out of the smoke. She was bleeding from the shoulder, eyes wide. "You idiot," she whispered. "You saved me." He grinned. "Told you I'm impossible." She stepped close, grabbed the collar of his jacket, and kissed him. It wasn't a soft kiss. It was fierce, wild, the kind of kiss that came after life and death. When they broke apart, she touched her forehead to his. "If we survive this, I'll let you peek." He laughed, breathless. "Promise, promise." They triggered the explosives, lit the sky behind them, and ran like hell. The camp was in a rare moment of silence when Damon and Saraxa returned, wounded, covered in ash and victory. Cheers had erupted when the blast from the Cerelian core lit the sky like a dying star. The whole valley saw it. The Terran side knew. It meant survival, the Cerelians' defeat. But Saraxa didn't care about Cheers. She didn't even make it to the medbay before collapsing. Damon caught her mid-fall, lowering her gently to the ground. "She's bleeding out." He shouted, "I need a medkit now." The next few minutes, blood-filled medics rushed in, tore off her armor, and sealed the wound. Damon stayed nearby, eyes locked on her face. Her breath was shallow but steady. "Will she be okay?" He asked. A medic nodded. "She'll need rest, but she's tougher than anyone I've ever patched up." Damon ran a shaking hand through his hair. "Yeah, she is." He sat by her cot all night, refusing to sleep. She didn't wake, but she didn't die either. When Saraxa opened her eyes, it was mid-morning. She blinked at the canvas ceiling of the medical tent, then turned her head slightly. Damon was still there, slouched on a stool, snoring softly. His stubble had grown out. He looked wrecked and worried. "You stayed," she whispered. His eyes snapped open. He looked at her and let out a breath like he'd been holding it for hours. "You scared the hell out of me." She tried to sit up, but groaned and fell back. Damon moved to help her, holding her gently. "You took a blade to the shoulder," he said, "and still made it out with me." "You saved me first," she replied, voice low. There was silence between them, filled with everything they weren't saying. The kiss, the risk, the way she leaned into him now, without resistance. "I've never cared like this before," she admitted. "I wasn't made for it. I was trained to kill, not to feel." "You feel just fine," he said, offering a small smile. She looked up, eyes searching. "Why do you stay near me, Damon Hawk? You could have had some Terran girl without scars, without blood on her hands." He didn't hesitate. "Because you don't just fight with blades, you fight for people. You could have left me behind in that valley, but you didn't. And I've never seen anyone like you," said Exxon, fierce, beautiful in the ways that matter. She bit her lip. "You're dangerous when you talk like that. And you're beautiful when you don't run." She smiled barely. But it was real. Just then, a sharp tone rang through the camp. A broadcast. Commander Braskin's voice filled the air. "All units, emergency council meeting in the war chamber. Bring your seconds." Saraxa frowned. "I'm supposed to represent the mercs." "You're not going anywhere in your condition," Damon warned. She swung her legs off the cot. "Then carry me. I'm not being left out of a council call." He blinked. "You're insane. I'm a mercenary." She smirked. "Insane is a requirement." Damon sighed, then gently helped her up, letting her lean on him as they walked to the chamber. The guards at the door looked surprised but let them pass. Inside, holoscreens showed footage from the Cerelian stronghold ruins. Shattered armor, dead commanders. But the room was silent. At the center of the table stood General Ovik, a Warlord alive and fuming. "What the hell is this?" Serexa whispered. "He's here for a truce," said Braskin, stone-faced. Ovik glared across the table at her. "The one who destroyed our core was you." Serexa didn't blink. "Damn right it was. You were not Cerelian," he hissed. "Not anymore. You betrayed your blood. I chose survival. I chose justice." Ovik turned to Braskin. "We propose a ceasefire. But there is a condition. Give us Hearth the traitor, and the fighting ends." Gasps rippled through the chamber. Damon stepped forward. "You can't be serious. She's a symbol," Ovik sneered, "of rebellion, of dishonor. We cannot let her live." Braskin looked torn. "It's not my call alone." Serexa stood tall despite the pain. "You want me gone so badly, Ovich." She reached for the blade strapped to her hip. "You'll have to earn it." Damon moved in front of her, voice thunderous. "You lay one finger on her, you'll start another war." Serexa blinked to shield. Again, Braskin raised a hand. "No one dies today. We'll reconvene after the moonrise. For now, guards, escort the general out." Ovik snarled, but left, his guards bristling. The chamber cleared. Serexa slumped slightly. Damon caught her. "You shouldn't have stood up to him like that," she murmured. "And you shouldn't have looked so proud when I did." She laughed weak, but warm. "I think I'm falling in love with you, human." He looked stunned, then he whispered, "About time." The moons of Kalen, 3 rows silver and full, above the icy ridgelines, casting long shadows over the Terran encampment. Inside the command tent, the air felt heavier than usual, as if the gravity itself knew a war might break loose by morning. Serexa paced the floor, wincing slightly with every other step, her wounded shoulder wrapped in fresh synth bandages. Damon stood, leaning against a far wall, arms crossed, helmet on the table beside him. He hadn't said much since the council meeting. "You're angry with me," Serexa finally muttered, not turning. "I'm angry," Damon admitted, "but not at you." She stopped. "Then what?" "That they asked for you. That they think they can trade peace for your life. And that some of our own might actually agree." She turned to face him, her golden eyes gleaming in the lamplight. "They don't care about me, Damon. I'm not human. I'm a weapon that outlived its use. If giving me up stops the killing." "No," he snapped. "Don't even finish that sentence." She blinked, surprised at the sharpness in his voice. "I didn't fight beside you, bleed beside you, love you just to watch you be handed over like some token," he continued. "You're not just a symbol. You're someone. You're mine." Her breath hitched. "You," said love. He stepped closer. "I meant it." For a long moment, the war outside disappeared. Only their breath between them. The soft sound of snow falling on tent fabric. Then came a shout from the outer perimeter. Commander Hockagent broadcast from orbital scans. They rushed outside into the central hub, where digital screens lit up with live feeds. One image was repeated across all panels. Dozens of Cerelian warships exiting stealth mode, hovering just beyond the mountains. "Cowards," Damon muttered. "They never wanted peace. The condition was a distraction." Serex's jaw clenched. They stalled so they could move into strike range. Braskin turned toward the pair. "We'll be outgunned if they hit us before we're ready." "They won't hit you," Serexa said slowly. Braskin narrowed his eyes. "Why not?" Serexa glanced at Damon. "Because I'm going to walk into their camp." Damon surged forward. "Absolutely not. I'm going in," she said, steady. "Alone, they won't attack. while I'm on the field." Braskin looked like he might protest, but hesitated. "You think you can buy time? I know their tactics, their commanders. I can stall them." Damon grabbed her arm. "Don't do this. Don't throw yourself away for us." Saraxa leaned in close, voice low. "I'm not throwing myself away. I'm giving us one last shot." She turned, started walking toward the armory. He followed. Inside the weapons tent, Saraxa changed into her original, armorsly, dark, tribal Cerealian design. She looked like someone else in it. Someone dangerous. Damon turned away, out of respect. But she smirked behind him. No peeking, human. He glanced over his shoulder. "You're serious? After everything we've been through?" She raised one delicate silver brow. "Still matters." Then her smile faded. "If I don't come back, you will," he said. "Because I'll be right behind you." Sarax's eyes flicked too. Him sharply. "I said alone. And I said, I love you. Those two things don't cancel out." Their hands found each other's in the dim light of the tent. "You're impossible," she whispered. "You're mine," he said again, softly. That night, under a silent sky, Saraxa walked out onto the frostbitten battlefield. Alone, every eye in the camp was on her. She reached the halfway point and stood tall as a shadow emerged from the Cerealian side General Ovik. He sneered at her. "You came back." "I came to negotiate a real peace," she replied. "You think we'd listen to a traitor?" She smirked. "No. But I think you'll listen to this." With a click of a hidden comm unit embedded in her glove, Saraxa activated the signal Damon had helped rig earlier, broadcasting the entire meeting live across all military channels. "You just admitted to lying," she said. "To setting up an ambush under a forced truce." Ovek's eyes widened. "What? That's the thing about humans," Saraxa continued. "They're clever, and they record everything." Back at camp, Braskin watched the live transmission. She just forced them into a corner. Damon's fists tightened. "She bought us more than time," Ovek hissed. "You think this will stop us?" "No," said Saraxa. "But this might." From behind her cloak, she tossed a small silver disc to the ground. It flared, projecting classified battle plans she'd stolen during her mercenary days. Weaknesses, hidden bases, supply routes. "I made a copy. You take me down, it gets sent to every Terran fleet," she warned. Ovek's hand clenched on his weapon, and then a voice cut through the comm lines. It was one of Ovek's own soldiers. "Sir, our troops are refusing to fire. They say she's one of us." Ovik looked around, realizing too late that the tide had turned. Even his own men couldn't stomach the betrayal. Saraxa tilted her head. "Still think I'm just a pet?" Ovik roared and charged. But a pulse shot hit him square in the chest before he reached her. Damon emerged from the darkness. Weapon still. "Smoking. I said, she's mine," he growled. Saraxa ran to him as Ovek's body slumped. "You followed me, always." She grabbed him, kissed him. Hard, the Terran camp behind them erupted in celebration. Epilogue, months later. The war was over. Peace had come not because of a treaty, but because of one alien mercenary who chose honor, and one human who chose love over fear. Damon and Saraxa stood at the edge of a new frontier, watching the stars rise together. She turned to him. Wearing only a simple tunic, her weapons hanging loosely at her side. "You still peek too much," she teased. "And you still pretend to hate it," he smirked. They kissed again, under a sky that no longer burned. The end loved Serixa and Damon's battle-forged romance. Want more alien-human love, honor, and action? Don't forget to follow for more HFY sci-fi romance tales.